Part 105. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1054. The host went back to the entertainment circle with all his heart and mind, but now, Yan Ji has returned so easily. If the host knows, I don't know if he will vomit blood. Because it is female number 1, before the start-up ceremony, the director invited guests, and the protagonists had a meal together to be considered in advance. Of course, the crew's Weibo and Weikan also opened up. The male number 1 is a second-line small fresh meat that is quite hot in the circle. Although I don't know who the backstage of Yanj is, everyone is clear and can get the role of female number 1 without any qualifications. The backstage of Yanj must be very good. So the people in the crew were very polite to Yan Ji. Nowadays, the actress of the heroine is more popular, and this script is also the actress of the heroine. What kind of good seed was plugged in by the big guys? The director had no great expectations for the acting performance of the female number 1, and felt that the good face was not a net blush. However, what he didn't expect is that when the crew started filming, this female number 1, her, and her acting skills broke the charts. Many martial arts actors did not need to be a stand-in. Martial arts movements are comparable to textbooks. She showed them beautifully, and she felt very powerful when she looked at them. Director, the labor and capital have found treasure, and they are going to be famous. The host is talented in acting, and the performance of Yanj's drama is blessed by the host, which makes Yanj the real heroine. I followed the crew several times during the filming. Ning Jin did not come to visit the class. Gu 11, the host's ex-boyfriend, came to visit the class once. Gu 11, because of the Jintung Newcomer Award, he has good resources in the circle now, with many fans and good resources, it will sooner or later become hot. However, no one expected that he and the big heroine would know each other. Gu 11 ignored everyone's searching eyes and waited for Yan Ji to finish the filming. The two talents drove straight to a beef restaurant outside the film and television base. In the past, when two people were not hot, during the filming at this film and television base, I often came to this beef restaurant to eat noodles. The price was not expensive and it was delicious. Gu 11 ordered Yanj's favorite tomato burdock noodles, and ordered himself a bowl. When the noodles were ready, he sat facing Yanj. As before, I handed chopsticks to Yanj and moved the mustard to Yanj's side. Yanj pinched the chopsticks, but did not start. She said, "Guxi, it is really impossible between us." Even if the host wanted to continue her relationship with Gu 11 in the last life, she could not divorce Ning Jin, nor was she with Gu 11 even after more than 10 years. Many couples think that the broken mirror will be more cherished. In fact, once you break up and recombine it is unlikely, even if you recombine it will not necessarily be complete, a crack has been created, and repair is useless. Rather than becoming a complaint, it's better to break early and give each other some thoughts. So Yanj was talking to Gu 11 at the moment. I really didn't think about leaving half a room. Before Gu 11 responded, she said, "I am married, and I have no plans to divorce." Gu 11, "I want to have a good time with him." "You live well, I am not for you, there are always better girls who will be for you." Gu 11 bowed her head and did not speak. This man may be sharp after 10 years, but now he is still a little stubborn looking flesh. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1055. Gu 11 was almost suffocating in his brow. Yan Ji sighed and said to Gu 11, "Thank you for coming to see me today, but your affairs will make him unhappy." Gu 11, "We will not have any more contact in the future." I hadn't been in contact for a year, and suddenly came after her again, and Yan Ji felt that the love between the host and Gu 11 was actually not indispensable. Gu 11 bowed his head. Yan Ji could not see the expression on his face, and just listened to him asking, is he forbid you to contact me again. He laughed, no, he is not such a stingy person. It is me. I have married him. I want to live a good life. After all, I have to walk with him for a lifetime. I don't want to make him sad because of such things. Gu 11 looked up and stared at Yan Ji. He frowned slightly, his face sad, and for a long time he said, Anan, you are such a cruel woman. Yan Ji nodded, and said softly, then you will forget me later, remember what it means to be a cruel woman. Gu 11 suddenly sneered, don't be affectionate, I never miss you. Yan Song, oh, that's fine. She bowed her head to eat noodles. The opposite Gu 11 still did not use chopsticks. He stared at the words of eating noodles, thinking that in the past both of them were fighting to sandwich the beef in the bowl of each other, but now, 1 year, it has been right and wrong. He stared at her and asked, did you marry him for these resources? Yanj finished eating the noodles in his mouth and said without raising his head, did I say you believe? Gu 11 looked back and laughed ironically. When he left, he said to Yanj, congratulations on your being number 1 for your wish. Yanj, congratulations, you finally won the grand prize, and you will succeed in the future. Gu 11 didn't answer her. He didn't say hello to Yanj when he came, and waved goodbye to Yanj when he left. Turn around and leave, looking at the back is quite easy. Yan Ji sighed with relief as he looked at his back. In the evening, Yan Ji and Ning Jin sent a message, the ex-boyfriend came to visit the class today. Husband, you have to make persistent efforts to surpass my ex-boyfriend. The message passed for a long time, and the other party said a word to her, oh. This man. The phone rang, it was Miu Miu's call. Yanj hasn't been home for a long time. Yanj's explanation to Miu Miu is that Ning Jin's funds have some problems and can't afford the big star, so she was asked to save the scene. Probably it was rare to see Yanj be in love with Ning Jin. Miu Miu was very pleased. She called and asked how well Yanj and Ning Jin got along, and talked with Yanj about her for a while. My friends went on a tour with the group abroad. Yan Ji is very supportive of Miu Miu going out to play. The two daughters of the mother and daughter said something non-nutritive, and Yanj urged Miu to go to bed earlier, so the video was hung up. As soon as the video was hung up, Yan Ji found out that there were already several messages in Ning Jin's chat window. Hulu husband, what is beyond? Hulu husband, does he read novels? Hulu husband, sweet wife runs with the ball, why only the lower part, where is the upper part? Hulu husband, sleep. Go to bed early and good night. Hulu husband, I will read the book again. Words of song. This man has not given up on novels. No wonder I had to visit her to see her. It turned out that she was addicted to fiction. Gas explosion. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 1056. From the beginning of this day, Yan Ji has never dealt with the man Ning Jin. She felt that this man completely refreshed her 3 views on the domineering president and the lower limit. Let her lose the mind of training. She intends to find a place in mountains and rivers to rest for a few days after killing youth in this Xiaoxian drama. However, this plan has not yet been implemented, and the green hat system connected to her consciousness suddenly heard a jarring alarm sound. This sound seems to have appeared once before. But now, the sound is even less than it used to be. Along with this squealing roar, Yanj feels that the position of the heart on his chest is almost painful. As soon as the photo of Shaching was taken, the song slammed and fell to the ground with convulsions. The crew. Cast director, Grandma Aunt touches porcelain. This is, I would have killed the younger one day before I knew it. When the song was awake again, lying in the host's room, there was no one around, and the door of the room was open, faintly as if someone heard the door talking. Yanj wanted to sit up, only to realize that his body was very heavy. It was like carrying 100 pounds, and it was difficult to move his fingers, let alone to sit up. Fortunately, she has tenacious willpower. She remembered the events before the coma. So while trying to move his body, he contacted the chicks in consciousness. Obviously felt that there was still a connection with the green hat system, but the chicken did not respond at all. What happened to the green hat system? Yan Ji's heart burst into flames, and she broke off the contact with the cub. This situation almost never happened. When she thought about the estrus event mentioned by the cock, Yan Ji's heart fell straight down. Cuckold space, what could have happened? Although the body was as heavy as lead-filled, the song still gritted its teeth and slowly made itself sit up. She is passive when she enters the plane. Without the chickens, she can only leave the plane after completing the host's wishes. So she must now fulfill her host's wish as soon as possible so she can return to the green hat space. Her mobile phone was not on the bedside, and the singer supported the wall and moved towards the door step by step, so she could hear the voice outside the room more clearly. The voice came from downstairs. It seems that two maids are gossip. My husband and the guy named Qin Zhenzhen, are they really together? I saw Qin Zhenzhen for the first time yesterday. She looks much better than what I saw on TV. It's so beautiful. Mr. and Mrs. stood with her, and they looked pleasing to the eye. Who knows, sir, what do you think about so much? Sir looks good, and is young and gold. All these female stars want to sir, Mr. Zhaolin some time ago. No, do you think you are a mistress in this room? I don't see any Zhaolin now. Zhaolin's character is really not as good as Qin Zhenzhen. Look at Qin Zhenzhen who came here yesterday. What a good temper, he is a big star. He smiles kindly and mildly. Zhaolin and Qin Zhenzhen cannot compare. Well, Mr. Titus flowing actress, look at it, this Qin Zhenzhen hasn't stayed here long, and I haven't seen any actress beside him who can cover the upstairs. The one upstairs is really pitiful, alas, so it is not a good thing to say that there is more money. People are healthy and healthy. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 1057. Yan Ji has walked out of the corridor. She is holding the stairs on the second floor, listening to the voices of two servants in the kitchen. Some wonder, how long has she been in a coma? 10 days. Half a month? A month? The servants, sir, is Ning Jin? In such a short period of time, Ning Jin's family seemed to have given her a lot of green hats. Ma Dan thought that he was obsessed with the novels of the president and couldn't help himself. It turned out that this guy was just an excuse for not wanting to sleep with her. She has been a hunter for so many years, and has been pecked by her prey for the first time. The two servants in the kitchen talked for a long time, probably the porridge was cooked, and one of them took the porridge and walked towards the door. This time I went out, I saw the words of the song standing on the second floor stairs. This maid seems to be new, Yan Ji has never met her. Apparently, the maid probably did not expect that Yanj would suddenly wake up. She screamed aloud, and the plate with both hands on the ground fell to the ground. The bowl of porridge on the plate poured herself over her body, so she yelled hot. Another maid in the kitchen came out and said, "How did you spill the porridge? It's been a small fire for a day, you talk about you. The maid ignored the man's blame, pulled her sleeve and pointed upstairs. Another servant looked up at Yan Ji, and Warong was frightened. Yan Ji looked so real that the two servants saw her waking up, not with a look of surprise, but with a look of shock. It seems that for more than 10 days, this lady Mrs. Ning was in a coma. Apparently she didn't expect much from everyone when she woke up. This also shows that Ning Jin does not pay much attention to her. This man, it seems that she is too gentle on his previous policies. It was already more than 10 o'clock in the evening when Ning Jin got off the plane. Qin Zhenzhen called and talked to him about the contract again. He was anxious to go home and let people wait at his doorstep. Qin Zhenzhen is the female artist who Ning Jin is now holding. The outside world has rumors that Qin Zhenzhen is Ning Jin's little wife. In fact, even Qin Zhenzhen thinks so. When he saw Ning Jin, Qin Zhenzhen greeted him in a few steps. "Ning brother, I'm really sorry to disturb you so late." Ning Jin's gaze did not turn to her. He strode towards the villa and asked her without looking back, "I heard Xiao Xia said, do you want to open a studio yourself and cooperate with Xinyu in terms of resources?" Qin Zhenzhen saw him open the door and talked about it. He hesitated a little, then nodded hesitantly. "Ning, actually, I think I am quite confused now, especially after you told me so much yesterday. I feel more at a loss in my heart. I do not even have a bit of planning in my career, but those people in my family, you know, Ning, can you give me some advice?" The light in the living room on the first floor of the villa was on and off, as if someone was watching TV in the lobby on the first floor. Ning Jin did not answer what Qin Zhenzhen really said. He stared at the dark second floor and frowned unconsciously. "Ning brother, I don't think I can't do without Xinyu." Qin Zhenzhen finally gathered his courage and whispered to Ning Jin again, "Ning brother, do you want me to stay?" Ning Jin opened the door and walked in. "Of course I hope you can stay, I." Half of what he said he was already the owner, looking at the sofa. Qin Zhenzhen didn't realize that Ning Jin stopped. She struck Ning Jin with no defense. Ning Jin's body was not stable, and the whole person was thrown to the ground by Qin Zhenzhen. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1058. All the lights in the living room and the foyer lit up at this moment. Qin Zhenzhen looked up and gasped in surprise. A row of maids stood in the living room. The servants were all standing behind the sofa, and they probably didn't expect that their owners would not only bring Xiaosin back, but they would be so eager to chat with Xiaosin at the door. Qin Zhenzhen originally crawled on Ning Jin. When she was in the dark, she still wanted to take this opportunity to kiss Ning Jin's lips, and the light turned on at this time. As soon as she looked up, she saw so many servants waiting. "Where is there?" a little bit hesitant to busy get up from Ning Jin. Ning Jin was faster than her. When she raised her hand and pushed her away, she strode towards the sofa without asking if she was hurt. Qin Zhenzhen was pushed to the ground by Ning Jin. Naturally, she saw the woman sitting on the sofa. Maybe the light is too bright, and it may be set against the rows of maids behind the sofa. Of course, it may also be that the skirt on the woman on the sofa is too beautiful and the rhinestone shoes are too beautiful, so it seems that the woman is just sitting there like a queen. The whole body is so radiant that it cannot be ignored. Qin Zhenzhen looked at the woman. She is the queen of the TV series. She is now in a big TV show and has played countless TV series about the queen. But at this moment, she is on the sofa under the momentum of the woman. This gave rise to a sense of panic. It was as if the false queen met the true queen. Ning Jin wanted to pounce on the Yanj Song, but when he was less than 2 steps away from the Yanj Song, Yanj twisted his eyebrows, and Zhu lips moved slightly. "Too dirty, don't touch me." Ning Jin heard her talking, her whole body was trembling with excitement. Of course, he couldn't bear to take a bath. For fear of flashing an eye, she would disappear. She knelt in front of her half-heartedly, and carefully looked at her features. "When did you wake up?" It's hard to hide ecstasy in the voice. Yan Ji heard the words, his eyes finally recovered from the TV, tilted his head, staring at Ning Jin with a smile. "I heard that in the past few days, I have been sleeping. How many green hats have you put on me?" The ecstasy of Ning Jin's face turned into a trance, and he stared at Yan Song with an exploration of his eyes. "Do you think, how many days did you sleep?" Yan Ji raised his chin to him. "What? It's a matter of 10.5 months. You brought the woman back in such a few days. Ning Jin, do you really make me look? When Ning Jin saw the cold eyes of Yanj, he explained quickly, Xingxin, don't get me wrong, I have only you as a wife, and never gave you a green hat. He pointed to Qin Zhenzhen and said, this is an employee of our company. Today I came to cancel the contract with the company. I was talking to her about the specific termination of the contract. It was an accident when I just entered the door. You must believe me. Yan Ji stared at him with a sneer and said, you call people to the house about the company, are you when I don't exist? Ning Jin didn't speak. He stared at Yanj with a pair of eyes, and didn't know if the light was too cold. Yanj even saw some transparent liquid in his eyes, and the corners of his eyes were a bit red. This man, is this going to cry? Words of song. This man's mind is afraid to read the domineering president's novel and look silly. He is not a domineering president. He should learn the silly white sweetness of those domineering presidents and cry when he speaks. Couldn't it be that time, and still felt that she could do nothing without crying twice? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1059. Qin Zhenzhen seems to have reacted. But no one greeted her at this moment, all treated her as a transparent person, she should leave with interest. Can't bear it, so even if shocked in my heart, I still secretly looked at the words. Ning Jin stared tentatively at Yanj. Staring, he suddenly reached out to wipe the corners of his eyes, and asked the servants behind Yanj, when did Xingxin wake up? Why didn't you call me? Did your wife have dinner? Did Dr. Zhao have it today? Come here, what's his wife saying? The housekeeper said busily, Sir, I have called you many times, and your phone is always off. Ning Jin froze for a while, then remembered that his family's mobile phone was out of power today, and he was thinking that he could only go home at night after a day of business, so he didn't charge the phone. MRS has been watching TV here, she didn't eat anything, and said she would wait for Mr. to come and eat with everyone. The housekeeper was very smart, and immediately ordered the servants to go to the kitchen to cook something, and everyone took the opportunity to exit from the living room. Ning Jin tried to hold a song, if you are hungry, if not hungry, I will take you to the hospital for a check. Yan Ji stared at his hand, don't touch me with other women's hands. Also, where is my cell phone, where did you put my cell phone? Ning Jin had to retract her hand, and heard Yan Ji's questioning, she stunned, and said, the day you fainted, your phone broke, but you can rest assured that everything in your phone is still there. I copied it in on another phone, the number is your usual number. I already took a cell phone out of my pocket and handed it to Yanj, you use this first, and in 2 days you can see what you like before changing. Yanj took the mobile phone and played with Ning Jin. Ning Jin, have you been too indulgent these days? Look at how your face is getting older, and the wrinkles at the corners of your eyes are coming out. Ning Jin raised her head slightly, looking at the words in the light under the light as if she were shining brightly. When she heard her words, her expression was aggrieved. But looking at him who was still as beautiful and charming as a 28-year-old girl, he rolled his throat and looked at her slowly and smiled, Xingxin, you have been lethargic for 3,823 days. Words of song. There was something wrong with her ear, you said I slept for 10 years. Ning Jin nodded, still seeing Yanj's unbelievable face, he quietly pressed the singer's cell phone and turned up the calendar above. Yan Ji stared at the calendar above. For 10 years, it was not unacceptable to have been wearing several green hats. But what is the concept of a person sleeping for 10 years? That's no different from a vegetative. It's a miracle to wake up after a decade of sleep. Yan Ji glared at Ning Jin's face again, if you sleep for 10 years, you can wear me a few green hats, and I can barely understand it, but I have a clean habit, you still take a bath, we will talk again later. Ningjin grieved and stood up, I didn't give you a green hat, I hug you to sleep every day. Words of song, believe is hell. When Ningjin took a shower, Yan Ji tried to contact the chicken again, and she was always out of touch. Obviously she could feel that the connection with the green hat space was not cut off, how could it not be connected? Is sleeping for 10 years related to the green hat system alarm before lethargy? The words are full of brains. She was stunned by this decade. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1060. Ningjin took a bath faster than washing her face. She rushed upstairs and rushed down in less than 3 or 5 minutes. Her hair was still pretty, and she had only a pair of big pants. He rushed downstairs quickly. He was supposed to sing the song, but when he looked up, he saw that Qin Zhenzhen was standing opposite the song. Thinking that it was just this woman that made his wife disgusted, Ningjin quickly waved to Qin Zhenzhen and said, "Go back first, and talk to Sister K tomorrow about the contract cancellation." Qin Zhenzhen kept talking, but he could see Ningjin's disgusting look like a cat and a dog. He bit his lip and turned away. She is not a little star who needs to be sent to others now. She now has the traffic and resources, and has her own manpower. She doesn't need to leave Ningjin, the entertaining boss, at all. She came to him several times, not because of anything else, but because he liked him. She liked him, and she liked it from the first sight. She is real, she just likes him. Not because he is the head of Xinyu. I just saw that the unattainable boss on the weekdays was so careless and humiliating in front of Yanj, and she even thought that she was dazzled. How could he be like this man, Ningjin? Moreover, Ningjin's wife is not as ugly as rumors outside. Her heart was sour and sad, and the woman on the sofa didn't mean to look up at her and talk to her, obviously she didn't put her in her eyes. This scene of Su was really unacceptable. She wanted to say a few words to Yanj, but hesitated. Ningjin went downstairs when she walked in front of Yanj. Even if he was not willing anymore, Qin Zhenzhen could only leave. As soon as Ningjin sat beside Yanj, she reached out and held Yanj in her arms, rubbing her arms and legs with her hands. Yanji had to resist, but his technique of massaging his arms and legs was quite professional, and he no longer moved his nest. Xingxin, how are you feeling now? Is there anything I can't move? Is there any discomfort? When you drink some porridge, I'll take you to the hospital to check. Yanji did not respond, she looked down and stared at Ningjin's features. Raised his finger and rubbed his face a little. Although Ningjin 10 years ago was not a small piece of fresh meat, he was a beautiful president who was invincible. However, today, he looks like some vicissitudes. It's like being polished by a knife and axe for 10 years. It hasn't been exaggerated in the past. The whole person seems much restrained. Although it still looks good, it is definitely not as tender as 10 years ago. Ningjin couldn't restrain the whole body touched by her fingers, she wanted to tremble, and her brain became blank for a moment. He squinted slightly, his face moved with her fingers, and she could not wait for her hand to touch him. Yan Song sighed, old. Ningjin only felt that the heart was scratched, as if he was hitting an arrow. The numbness caused by Yan Ji's fingers could not fill the pain in his heart. Yanj sighed, my mother is alone, is she doing well now? I have to go back and see her tomorrow. Ningjin stopped talking. Yan Ji sharply noticed that the expression on Ningjin's face was not right. Linked to the host's mother Mu died early, Yan Ji immediately had the worst idea, my mother, she died. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1061. Ningjin quickly shook her head, and Yan Ji was relieved, Mu just died. The host has always felt guilty towards his parents. If Miu Miu hangs up, this task will certainly not be successful. What's wrong? Yanj asked him. My mother is sick too. Ning Jin looked at Yan Ji's look carefully and said, no, your mother is remarried, but she has been concerned about you and will often come to see you. In fact, I think it's good that she remarried. It hit her especially hard. Miu Miu remarried, or Ning Jin secretly led the bridge. The mother-in-law was crying and embarrassingly hugging her wife every day, so she thought of such a method once and for all. Yan Song was shocked for a moment, and immediately relieved. Remarry and find the second spring is also good. Better than an old man dying alone in the house. Yanj calmed down and continued to look at Ning Jin. In the 10 years she was lethargic, has the man transferred his property? Now mentioning the divorce will arouse his vigilance. Yan Ji thinks that she will be caught by surprise when she finds a lawyer tomorrow. She doesn't care about being cuckolded. After all, for 10 years, it was a man's most energetic. He could not leave her in the hospital when she was unconscious. It was already a kind person. Therefore, Molly's divorce went their separate ways. Ning Jin held the words and didn't want to talk more about the mother-in-law's question. He looked at her and offered a treasure like saying, Xin, your company is very big now, especially big. I set up with the funds of our two, an entertainment company is also developing very well now. If your health is fine, I will take you to the company tomorrow. Words of song. The man was charming when he said this, it didn't look like temptation at all. The porridge was ready in the kitchen, and the servant brought a few side dishes and porridge to the table. Ning Jin directly walked to the dining table holding Yanj. He put Yanj on his lap, moved the porridge to the table, picked up a spoon, and blew and blew. He tried it again, and felt that the temperature was just right. Then he fed Yanj and turned away from him. I don't want to eat anything. You put me down. You are hungry and you eat first. Ning Jin put down her spoon and reached out to rub Yanj's belly. I have nt eaten for 10 years, and my stomach has shrunk. I do nt want to eat is normal. Take a bite of it, okay, eat a bite today, tomorrow I want to eat. It's almost like kidding a child. Yanj still shook his head, if you don't want to eat it, you will feel bored when you see it. If you let me go, leave me alone. Ning Jin, then you sit in my arms, I eat and you see, maybe you want to eat when you look at it. Words of song. This guy didn't seem so sticky to her 10 years ago. What's so bad about doing this? Yan Ji rested his head on his shoulder, not even looking at him, and was obviously disgusted. Ning Jin would ask her with a bite, do you want to eat? Yanj did not eat at all. Ning Jin saw that Yanj did not eat, and was worried about any problems with Yanj's body. She immediately called the medical team who had been treating Yanj and went to the hospital overnight. Yanj consciously has no problem with his body. She knew her condition. It wasn't because of her body that she had been drowsy for 10 years, but her own system was out of order. But Ning Jin was so anxious that she hugged her into the car without eating and went straight to the hospital. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1062. The doctors who have been treating the body of Yan Ji for the past 10 years are obviously more excited than Ning Jin. These doctors shouted miracles in their mouths and looked at Yanj's expression. They could not wait to decompose Yanj into research. Yan Ji was tossed in the hospital most of the night, fell asleep, and went home when he woke up. Not only went home, but also in the arms of Ning Jin. It wasn't slick, anyway, and some clothes were hanging. The man held her hands up and down, whispering in his mouth, Zinksin, Zinksin. Of course, she did not forget to kiss her face and neck during the period. Before Yan Yan opened her eyes, she was thundered by Ning Jin's voice. It always felt that his voice calling her name was very silvery. What happened after she slept for 10 years? How can you turn an abstinence president into an indulgent man who will insult others? When Ning Jin kissed Yan's lips again, Yanj opened his eyes and stared at him. Ning Jin. His gaze on Yanj, his hands kneading on Yanj's chest became a rock for a second, and it was laborious to retrieve it. The next moment he seemed to react, and withdrew his hands and feet, rolled over on the bed, and ran towards the bathroom. Yan Ji kept staring at his egg disappearing behind the bathroom door, before he realized it later and thought of something. When she was looking for clothes in the cabinet in the daytime, the two large cabinets were full of clothes she could wear. However, there is a small one next to the large one. She opened the cupboard, which was full of women's clothes. Seductive attire of various uniforms. She was still very surprised at that time, thinking that Ning Jin secretly bought it back and wanted to take time to play with her. Later, when I heard the servant's words, I guessed that those clothes were props played by Ning Jin with other women. Thinking of what Ning Jin had with other women in her bedroom, she suddenly felt that the lower limit was refreshed again. But now, looking down at his own equipment, Yanj suddenly had a bolder guess. Raised his hand and pulled the black ribbon that could not cover anything. Yan Song raised his eyebrows. Ning Jin was a man who really surprised her. This man, for 10 years, has it been like this to her? Words of song, the thought of this, her body's hair was upright, she didn't know whether she should feel honored or disgusted. The sound of water in the bathroom kept ringing, and the sound of whirling never stopped. Yanj and so on. She was full and she didn't sleepy at all. She wanted to see how long the bath in the bathroom was going to take. When I was waiting, I was bored, and I sang the song, and when I saw that there were 300 Tang poems written on the surface of the bed, I took a look at them. Where are the 300 Tang poems? Obviously it is an upgraded version of the overbearing president who falls in love with me and other novels. Very yellow and violent. This man hasn't given up novel addiction for 10 years? Very good, very powerful. So these outfits he did on her, are they imitating the president's text? What authors are most afraid of writing novels? The most afraid is that those who read novels are too serious, too competitive, and naive. For example, cucumber is an indispensable prop in Huang Wang's novels, but once this thing is used in reality, it can really make people tear in a minute. Yan Ji was a bit creepy. Would Ning Jin also have her brain exhausted and experimented with her body? After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1063. The bathroom door opened a gap silently, and Ning Jin hid behind the door, gazing at the woman on the bed. How to do? At the end, he quietly closed the door again. In this effort, the bathroom door has been opened and closed 3 or 4 times by him. You can't see Yanj, and you just look at the book with interest. It was noon when the sun ran from the east to the middle. Although the sound of water in the bathroom stopped, no one came out. Yanj didn't intend to seduce him by pretending to sleep. She was half lying on the bed and looked at the book intently. Ning Jin's phone rang many times during the period. Yan Ji did not mean to answer the phone for Ning Jin. Probably it was finally in the bathroom. Ning Jin finally went out of the bathroom in a despondent way, moved to the front of Yanj against the wall, and stuttered, "Zinkson, hungry, hungry." Yan Ji lifted the quilt and wore cat ears on her head. She rolled up like a cat and lay on her limbs on the bed, and raised her head and asked Ning Jin, "Did you change my clothes?" Ning Jin. This look, this look. As soon as his nose was hot, the nosebleed slowly flowed into his mouth. His eyes couldn't bear to leave Yanj's body, and the preface in his mouth did not agree with the afterword. No, no, it was when I went to bed last night, you said it was hot, and I changed the pajamas for you. No, Don't you cover it again? Yan Singer supported her body, like an elegant and proud feline, slowly moved to Ningjin's body beside the bed. She reached out and caught 5 nail marks on his lap, then raised her head again and smiled at him. Ningjin's nasal blood flowed faster, her body was swinging, her eyes stared at the song with excitement, her mouth moved several times, and she couldn't organize any words. It was rather a song, and he put his hands around his neck and threw a wink at him before biting him on his shoulder. Tooth prints show blood. Ningjin finally couldn't help it. He pushed the song to the bed with one hand, and wrapped the blanket with the words in his hands. The cold voice in his mouth sounded calm, "You take a bath and dress, and we'll see your mother later." If it weren't for the blood on his nose, or if he was wearing such a suit on his own, Yan Song would have regarded him as a gentleman. Without waiting for the song to continue to hook him, he had already rushed towards the door after turning around and running. Words of song. Is this guy sick? Why did you run away? No egg hurts. Back at Mu's house, Yan Ji realized that Ningjin had obviously told her too little. Mu's mother not only remarried, but also seized the little tale of childbearing, and gave birth to another child. The child was 5 years old. It's a little girl who looks a lot like the host. She always called her sister when she saw Yanj. It's really cute. Mu didn't expect her daughter to wake up, so although she was very happy, her face was obviously a little unnatural. When Yanj came out of Mu's house, when he got into the car, the smile on his face was put away. Ningjin immediately held her in her arms, presumably because of her habit. He helped her massage her hands and feet, and said, "You and me, we will have a few children in the future." Yan Ji glared at him, and said angrily, "How can I give birth alone? A child you think I can pop out by farting?" Ningjin's face flushed, and he didn't dare to read the words, looked at her little white tender hand, and whispered, "You, please me, I will help you."